through time and practice. I don't think there's any one particular moment. It's just through years of self-inquiry and awareness and downloads and communicating with guides and speaking with mentors and just getting to a point of accepting of, yeah, I am having a human experience. So I can't deny, ignore, or be frustrated at the human moments.
Welcome to the Healing Cocoon. I'm Jacoby Gray, soul alignment and success coach and energy healer, which means I can intuit the subtle layers of your energy field to promote ultimate health and well-being. My goal for this podcast is to shed light on the healing journey itself and help you feel more supported as you embark on the process of unpacking your past to consciously create your present and start living the life of your dreams. Through the study of coaching, kinesiology, holographic kinetics, meditation, Reiki, the chakra system, and many other modalities, I've learned how to release the blocks that were holding me back. Now I'd love to help you do the same. By embarking on your own self-healing process, you'll see the world transforming around you in ways you never thought possible. You'll begin to experience more connection, clarity, love, fulfillment, synchronicity, and success than you've ever had before. So welcome to the Ascension. Hello, beautiful humans, and welcome back to the Healing Cocoon podcast. Today's episode is one of two parts, which eventuated after I stopped recording with today's guest, Renée Wilkinson, and she mentioned a little bit about her husband Murray's personal healing journey, which has been dynamic, to say the least. And I was like, oh man, we got to get Murray on the podcast because, as you'll hear in this episode, he's not only been an incredible support for Renee since they met, but a co-creator and spiritual guide in his own right, having pulled himself out of some pretty dark places. So today you'll hear from Renee, and next week you'll get to hear from Murray. And together these episodes show the two sides of partners in shine or conscious coupling or whatever the buzz phrase is these days. But either way, it's a really beautiful expression of sacred union. So Renee herself is a multi-modality intuitive channel who is here to assist people in remembering their purpose for incarnating, to help them defy all logic and create the impossible. She began her intuitive channeling journey at 11, studied alternative health therapies, diverted into a film and TV career in an attempt to be normal, in inverted commas, but quickly returned to her purpose in her late 20s. She's gone on with Murray to create an incredible community of like-minded individuals in Newcastle, Australia. Woo! Shout out to my hometown. And together they built the Opened Mind Space, a wellness centre, and the Dome, which is a retreat space. And they've also welcomed their daughter, Sophia, in late 2020. So without further ado, Renée Wilkinson. I've met you when I was in Australia during 2020, and since then I've come back to the States, but I have been observing you through that time via the portal of Instagram and watching you create this most incredible thing in what feels like lightning speed. And the dome, the land, everything that's coming with that. And I want to dive into that, but I feel like we should track back to the beginning. I like to start at the beginning of everyone's healing journey because you have built this incredible, I mean, I don't like to say the word empire. I'm sure there's a much better word for these things with the yoga studio and the dome and all of the things. But where did that all start? How did that start?
Yeah. What is created now, this particular vision would have started, well, what pops to mind, I suppose, is when I was 18. That's the first thing that pops into mind. So I started my intuitive journey work when I was like 11, 12. I started being mentored and going into all of this. And then when I was 18, my mentor took me to Singapore to do an energy healing traineeship. And when I was there, we were working in this stunning facility, which was a yoga studio and healing rooms. And then across the way, she had a bookshop cafe thing. And it just blew my mind. I was like, whoa, you can be in this realm and have this juicy community space. And then from then I was sketching, I was writing out, I was manifesting this center. It kept on taking different forms each time I felt into it, but I kept on tuning into this energy of this center, this community hub, this space where everyone could just express and be.
And is that so? 18 was when it's sort of, I guess you received the download or the vision was created. When was open mind space sort of the first step in that process, or were there steps before the creation of open mind space?
Yeah, so I in this particular facet, I did work on my own as a kinesiologist. So I had just Renée Wilkinson doing kinesiology and meditations and all that kind of thing. And then probably around 26, 27, the open mind space landed. And it landed first just as a online space. I was selling crystals and little kind of like alternative healing packs. And then that gently morphed into like markets. I would do local markets. So I just had a market stall. And so it was starting more so as a series of tools and events for people to join in. And then it was when my now husband, Murray, kind of wove in that it just blew up and became this way bigger than what I thought it would be thing.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, you said 11 years old, that was when you started waking up to your intuitive gifts. What was that like for you? Did you just one day go, "Oh, I'm not normal," or did you understand that what you were seeing was different to what other people were seeing or feeling, or however your gifts come through?
Yeah, I think it was around 11, 12 where I started to realize other people weren't interpreting or seeing the world as I was. So since forever, I was seeing like a veil of other energy or being on top, which when little was really intimidating. As I got older, I got used to it as being like doing schoolwork and going, I can't figure out this question. And someone kind of whispering, here's the answer. So I was like, oh, okay. So I kind of, I realized around that puberty kind of time and around high school when I was introduced to a lot more people, that very few, if no one that I was aware of, was communicating and interacting in the world and other worlds in that way. So it was a bit overwhelming.
Yeah, I can imagine. And so, was there a part of your own, I don't know, like I always find these energetic gifts, there's also sort of like a, I don't know, like a birth of fire or some kind of like experience that is kind of really crazy that you go through in order to kind of really fully embody the gifts. Have you had any kind of crazy experiences that sort of happened to you so you could learn how to use what it is that you have?
Yeah, I think in those teenage years it was very gentle and steady. I had a mentor guide me through, and there would be ups and downs, strong emotional sensations and intense experiences, but it was just with him guiding me in that space. It was very normalized. It was I was encouraged to keep it hush hush from everyone else, but in that space, in that group of people, it was normalized. So it just kind of plodded along. But I suppose in terms of uh, birth by fire, it was around 25 where I had a, an assault occur, and like literally moments prior to the assault, I had my intuition like going off. So I'd spent a few years ignoring it. I was like, I don't want to be weird anymore. I just want to be normal. So it was ignoring the intuition and trying to do the normal thing. But yeah, moments before that assault, my intuition was screaming at me and I ignored it and then had to go through that physical experience, which led to a solid 12 months of focused healing from that experience. And that was the real wake up call of like, oh, I can't keep doing life in this numbing in inverted commas normal way. I really have to listen to this extra sense that I've got.
Mm. And where were your, I mean, that's really cool that you had mentors so young. Like, I have two questions around that is, did they find you or did you seek them out? Or did they sort of identify you as having gifts? And where were they during this time when you were stepping back and just trying to be like, normal per se?
Yeah, so it was actually my mum that sought Mark is his name. So it was my mum that sought Mark out because he had a weekly meditation group and she'd been going to that. And then she was acknowledging that I was going through overwhelm and weird things. So she asked if I could come along because a lot of other mediums or psychic or healers that she'd gone to all said, no, she's too young. Don't introduce this at this age. And he was like, no, of course, come in. Like, this is important that she is a part of this. So my mum connected the dots, sorted it out. And then the second part of your question was,
well, I mean, I think that's so incredible that you had a mum who was already, I guess, on some kind of like spiritual journey herself, and so had enough sensitivity to understand that you were having some experiences that needed guidance. Yeah, that's really awesome. I wish that I'd had some people who recognized those things in me when I was younger. I feel like it would have helped a lot. But at the same time, it's interesting that they told you not to speak about it.
Yeah, I've had asked mum about this later on, and she said that she did it from a place of wanting to protect me, of nervous that if I did go to school and was super open about this conversation about what was happening, that it would ostracize me, and she didn't want me to go through that. So I don't think at the time she explained it quite like that, but she was just more like, this is just for us. This is just for us to, on Tuesday nights, we go and do our meditation and we leave it and we can talk about it at home, but don't talk about it at school. Unknowingly, that planted a seed of no one should know about this. This is something to be hidden. This is weird. Like that seed kind of grew over the years, which wasn't her intention. But yeah, it was cool. I'm very grateful that she did support me, still supports me, still is like believes everything I say, and it's allowed me to be where I am now. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really awesome. And can you speak to, I guess, the journey that you've gone through reclaiming your voice or having the courage to sort of reveal yourself to the world?
Yeah, I feel like it's been in layers. um, it started with, so when I, around 27 or so, came back to like, okay, I need to be doing kinesiology. I do need, or I think it's applied kinesiology in Northern America, it's called. um, so it was gentle. I was still kind of hiding, protecting myself, doing kinesiology. It was just word of mouth ish. I went and became a yoga teacher. That gave me more permission. That felt like that was more of an accepted and understood modality. So that felt easier to interact with people. And then in terms of the shedding of layers, it's become an embodiment of one, having support, like having Murray come into my life and going, this is amazing, this is really cool, I want to do this as well. And it was like having that validation outside of family, like your mum and dad are supposed to tell you good at things, so having someone outside of that going, yeah, this is really cool, that boosted me up a bit more. And then it was kind of closing my eyes, cutting the bungee cord and leaping, just seeing what happened. And it was really great. My first set of workshops in Newcastle, they were sold out. I had to do repeat ones. So I was getting all of this external validation from the universe, from people around me going, this is something that's wanted and people are curious about. So that gave me more immediate validation to keep going and expanding.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really amazing, and I think about some of the offerings that you have. I think one of them is it reclaim? I don't want to say. Is it the witch? No, reclaim
Awaken
your.
the Witches.
What's that's it? That's it. And I feel like that's such the powerful and important offering. And I think that even defining that word itself has such a history of I mean, what's the word? Persecution, essentially. And I love the fact that you are using it in such a positive way.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a loaded word, but for all my offerings, I get a voice in my head that just nags at me. And if I don't listen to the voice, then I get a huge sense of anxiety. So it's like a pressure release. Like I have to share the thoughts or the words or the programs or whatever it may be. Otherwise, I just feel this like real bottled up sensation, and it's extremely uncomfortable. So the second I hit send or share or whatever it may be, there's this huge like, oh, thank you. So it's kind of selfish. Yeah. It's this relief when I get it out of my body. So it's kind of selfish when I share these things, because it's more so for my own release than anything else.
Yeah. So it's almost like you're really being, you're definitely a channel. There's something greater than you working through you to deliver this information to the planet, really.
Yeah, I 1,000% of everything I do is not me, Renee. I have the filter and the logic to help decipher it and to make it comprehensible, I guess, for people on different levels where they're at. But the information is definitely not mine. It is lands from somewhere else.
And how do you go with integrating Renee the human and this other part of you? I remember on your Instagram the other day, you were like, oh, Spirit was asking me to do this, and I just did the washing instead, like the laundry. And I laughed and I thought, yeah, because some days you just want to be human. How do you go kind of like traversing those two worlds?
Yeah, it's super interesting. I consistently reach out to mentors, to guides, to therapists to assist and to help keep me in balance. I'm very grateful that I do have Murray. He's absolutely one of my he's here for a reason to help keep me balanced in that, because it is very easy for me to want to lean into that existential, interdimensional, astral place. That's my comfortable place. So it takes a lot of daily practices to keep myself here. And one of my mentors I'm working with at the moment, she's given me the practice to pull me back in every day. I have to meditate on asking, where are my roots? Where am I grounded? How am I weaving into this earth? So it's a daily practice to find that balance. And it's a gentle surrender and acceptance of just the moments where I get road rage. It's like, yeah, cool. That happened. Fine. Sure. Just move on.
Yeah, yeah. And was it always like that? Were you always able to let go? Because I feel like on some level that's almost it's the double-edged sword. It's the curse of having these gifts, is that you know better. And you know that you not that you shouldn't participate in road rage, but you understand all the different levels and why it's happening and la 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 la, but yet it still happens. And how did you learn just to take it easy on yourself and accept that that's what you're doing in that moment?
Through time and practice. I don't think there's any one particular moment. It's just through years of self-inquiry and awareness and downloads and communicating with guides and speaking with mentors, and just getting to a point of accepting of, yeah, I am having a human experience. So I can't deny, ignore, or be frustrated at the human moments of the human experience. That's what I'm here as well to do.
And I guess speaking about those human moments, you actually have your own podcast, which I think is called, it's part of the Open Mind Space. Is that right?
The Open Mind Podcast, I think we call it. Yeah.
Yeah, the Open Mind Podcast, which is great. And everyone listening should check it out. But I know that I recently listened to one of your episodes where you had a very sort of real human experience, like traversing the first year of your daughter's life. And would you say that that was one of the biggest initiations you've had as a human, or have you had other sort of equal experiences?
I think in terms of becoming deeply human, that was the biggest. Um, I've definitely had moments where I've been shocked into my body, but so from maybe about 7 months pregnant, my intuition cut off. Sophia, my baby, her energy when she was in my belly, she was like, nope, like that's not happening. She demands that I am 100% with her, still does demand that I am 100% with her. So even from when she was landing energetically in my belly, she was just like, no, you can't drift off up there. You've got to be here with me. And that was extremely confronting because that was the first time in my life where I was cut off from my intuition. And it literally felt like I was missing a leg. Like I just was so discombobulated in the world. Um, it was like trying to walk through blind. And I was having these moments of like, is this what it's like to be human? Like, is this why no one knows what's going on because they can't see the bonus information? Like, I was so shocked. I don't know if that is what quote unquote
It
humans, but
is.
yeah, but
It is.
yeah, it was really confronting and devastating, and yeah, really challenging. And I was working with a wonderful kinesiologist, Bernadette O'Connor, and at different touchstones throughout it, she just kept on saying, why are you being human? Why have you forgotten that you're this magical creature? Because I kept on getting just dragged down into the real humanness of that experience. So yeah, it was confronting.
Yeah, and I guess it was something that was required of you. And it's really interesting because I work with an energy healer in Sydney who, when she was pregnant, her gifts left her completely. And she had a similar experience where she was like, oh my gosh, I'm just so like 3D right now. I'm so here. But I liked that you said bonus information, and I'd love it if you could extrapolate on what is bonus information. Is it auras? Is it geometry, sacred geometry? Like, what exactly is it that you're seeing now that you've had the experience of not having the bonus information? Can you talk a little bit about, I know it's hard to describe, but for people that who are listening to this and going, well, what is it? Like, what do you see that we don't see? I think people would be curious to know.
Yeah, I think in comparison to it being lost, it's kind of, for me, it's this sense of seeing, feeling, being aware of the reaction before the action. So knowing what the knock-on effect will be. So knowing that an example would be like, if you don't brake now, you're probably going to bump that car in front of you. So it's not a what if. Like, I know that there's a lot of people who think of all the possible scenarios. Like we can get caught up in our head of, if I make this decision, what are all the ways that it can go? It's literally like you need to turn left now. Like it'll be a thought or a sensation of, you need to turn left now. And I might not know what the outcome will be, but I know that I need to change the action in that moment to have a different reaction. It's also, I suppose, in more so the healing or interacting with people, it's a knowingness. So it's not so much seeing. I don't necessarily look at someone and with my human eyes see colors or shapes, but it's more of for me, it's more of a knowingness in my mind of like, oh, they've got this stuck here, or it feels heavy in their gut, or there's just a knowingness for me that lands. But yeah, so the sensation of having it removed was kind of like, I don't know what to do because I don't know where this action's going to lead me. So it was kind of like I felt a bit stuck or a bit hesitant to kind of do anything because I didn't have that sense of what's coming forward. It's kind of, I suppose, like driving is my easiest analogy of when you're in like a four-wheel drive or a truck and you're higher up and you can see more of the traffic ahead of you, as opposed to when you're in a low car and you can only see the car in front of you.
I'm going to jump in here for a sec to talk to you about my all-time favorite skincare product, Osea's Sea Serum. Because when I first discovered the benefits of hyaluronic acid a few years ago, I fell madly in love with it, and I went on a hunt to find the perfect formula. Most of them, although they worked, they left my face with a kind of tacky, sticky feeling that turned into a big shiny mess after I put on moisturizer and foundation. But then I stumbled across Osea's Sea Serum, and I couldn't believe how easily it settled into my skin without making me look like a disco ball by the end of the day. Osea's newly upgraded formula contains two powerful types of hyaluronic acid, plus Japanese miru seaweed, which replenishes and balances the skin's natural moisture level, volcanic marine ferment to plump and smooth out those fine lines, and snow mushroom to form a hydration layer on the skin which seals in all the moisture. And not only that, and this is the reason I'm so happy to stand behind this company, Osea is also vegan, cruelty-free, climate neutral, and they've just become ocean positive, which for me, being an Aussie growing up in the ocean, is a truly meaningful, high-integrity company ethos that I'm excited to support. So if you would like to try this awesome hyaluronic sea serum and support a certified ethical company in the process, you can use my discount code UA10, so that's Urban Ascension 10, UA10, to receive 10% off when you go to Osea's website, and that's spelt OSEA. It'll change your life. Well, your skin's life anyway. It certainly did mine. Yeah, so you're like deeply connected to your own intuition to the point where you don't even, well, one, you hear it quite clearly or you feel it. And then two, you actually just listen to it and act on it without any sort of question if it's right or not.
Yeah, that has taken years of trust. Years, it definitely hasn't always been like that. But now I know deeply within myself that I would rather follow the illogical or the unknown intuitive hit than see what happens when I don't, because I've experienced a lot of what happens when I don't follow, and majority of the time it's not amazing.
And so is that something that you are doing now with your work? Is it about connecting people to their own ability in that realm, or just connecting them with their intuition? Like, what exactly is it that you strive to achieve in the work that you do?
Yeah, I strive to achieve people remembering or connecting to, in inverted commas, their purpose. And purpose in my realm isn't necessarily service or work or doing, but it's more of a being. So in my world, helping someone connect to their purpose is remembering their essence, remembering their frequency, remembering the unique piece of the puzzle that they're bringing down to humanity. And that may be your purpose or your frequency is to plant trees, is to sit on a computer and type, it's not so much about the doing, but it's more so what frequency are you holding? What are you being energetically while you're in the 3D doing? Because when you're holding that, your unique frequency, it ripples out through whatever you're doing, and it gives others permission to hold their unique frequency.
Wow, I absolutely love that. So, speaking about that, I guess it's a nice way to segue into the adventure that has become the Dome and your retreat space. Because you started with the open mind space, which was something it sounds like really kind of came to fruition through meeting Murray. And I mean, how beautiful to have a partner in, I don't want to say partner in crime, partner in shine, but like to have that masculine energy come in and no judgment but complete acceptance and holding that space for you to keep growing and growing and trusting those intuitive hits, and obviously developing and stepping into his own power in that space as well. So can you speak a bit about how the open mind space became the Dome, and what is that retreat space called exactly?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm going to share with him Partner in Shine. I love that. That's amazing. Um, so it technically hasn't really developed its own name. We just keep calling it the Dome. It's still the open mind space. It's just an extension. of it. So it's just another location. We call it the dome. And how it evolved, we kind of, after our first year in the open mind space, in the studio space, we felt into that a retreat was the next step, because the work that we want to do, that we are doing now, requires holding people in a space for more than a few hours. And we were limited in the studio because of classes, because of location. We could kind of max have people for a day. 5, 6, 7 hours was the max that we could hold people. And the work that we want to do, we really need to hold people overnight or for a few days, just to really support the full integration process and allow the full depth of it. Instead of in a few hours, you kind of only allow yourself, most people allow themselves to only go so far. So we knew that that was in the works. And then once we planted that seed, the universe kind of took over, because we had no idea how financially we were going to make that happen. And then it turned out that whatever landed in my parents' realm, my mum has always been someone who's like, I'll never be on land, I'll never be on a farm, I'll never, like, don't take me away from the suburbs, from people. And one day, literally, she turned around and just said, I'm ready. I'll sell the house, like, with mum and dad. It's always been dad's dream. He's like, as long as I can remember, he's like, farm, horses, let's go. So one day mum turned around and was just like, I'm ready. We'll sell the house. And then just in a couple weeks, months, they'd sold their house. They'd bought this land a little over an hour outside of Newcastle, 15 acres. And they said, yeah, if you want to do your retreat, take that little parcel up the back and go for it. So with their support and with their absolute support, we were then able to have a little parcel of land that we could start building.
That's amazing. Wow. And then you've created this experience. And if I was to, which I will be next time I'm in Australia, come and visit the dome, but what can I expect of my experience there?
Yeah, so the dome itself is a vortex. The way we intentionally built it, literally from the footings up. So in each of the footings, there are programmed clear quartz crystals, which start connecting with the magic that's on the land, and that travels up through the dome. And then we've planted selenite in the 4 directions, and I get goosebumps talking about it, because there's just so much intention in the crystal grid, and we haven't just slapped up a deck and then put up a dome. Like, the dome has all of these incredible geometric shapes in it, which just amplify the energy. So there's that portal that energetically we've opened up in the space. It's on the dome. There's that energetic space. As soon as you step in, you're like, oh, something is happening here. And then our intention, whatever the offering may be, at the moment it's something called initiation, which is an overnight experience. But our intention is to be a bridge to open up your portals of perception. So we want to hold this space that's not quite a full plant psychedelic journey, but we kind of want to take you on that bridge from a completely sober experience where you might be meditating, doing your breath work, which is all amazing and incredible. But there are some deep healing benefits with plants. And so we want to kind of be that bridge to assist people to start to explore, loosen the grip, dip their toe in. So we do that with the gentler end is cacao, infused blue lotus tea. And then we do go a little deeper into microdosing some other plants in non-hallucinogenic doses. So we kind of want to hold you in this space where we do lean you into mind-altering states with those plants and with breath work and with meditation and with energy, but we don't take you into a full psychedelic experience. So our intention is to be that bridge to hold people that they can start to practice letting go of control, because if you want to dive deep into a psychedelic experience, you have to surrender. And that can be scary for a lot of people. So we're holding you in this gentle bridge where you can practice letting go of control without having to lose control.
I love that. And so would this be Is this just for people who are seeking to maybe step into an ayahuasca journey, or I don't know, MDMA or mushrooms or something like that? Or is it also, say, for someone who is sort of just, in the depths of despair, their world's blown up, they're at a space where I guess they're deep in their dark night of the soul, they've lost their job, their relationship's broken up. Is it safe for someone who is in that space and who's really attached to their pain and potentially their victim sort of thinking to come and have this experience with you?
Absolutely. It's intention. When you're sitting on that bridge, is the space to shift your perception and to heal, whatever that may be, because small t trauma, big T trauma, is such a broad thing, and we can't compare one trauma to another. One person's trauma may be losing a relationship, another's may be losing their job, another's may be they just don't know who they are right now. So it's all kind of incomparable, but all valuable and significant. So it's very welcoming space for everyone who's looking to actively shift, actively grow what's happening in their world. Or just to check in as well. Like, it's a really great opportunity to step out of the 3D, to step out of the matrix and go, oh, what's actually happening in my being? What do I need to shake off? What do I need to reset?
Yeah, it sounds really powerful. And for anyone listening who's interested, you'll be able to find Renee and Murray and their dome in the show notes. So what does this mean as you guys invest more deeply in these experiences for the open mind space and your open mind community? Because that was such an important part of my experience in Newcastle when I was there. It wasn't for long, those 9 months that I came home during the pandemic. But I remember saying to one of my friends, I don't know if I'm going to find my tribe here. And she was like, oh, you just need to go to the open mind space. You'll be fine. And I went there and immediately I saw you and I was like, okay, yeah, I'm home. And I was so grateful for that grounding and a place to go where I was around kindred spirits. So how, I guess this is an entrepreneurial question, how do you manage these two sort of entities now?
Yeah, that is a really great question. And that is something that every day we feel into. And thank you so much. I got goosebumps when you were speaking. What you experienced is 1,000% our intention. So I'm so honored. I'm so like, yes, you had that. You found your home.
I'm glad.
Like,
I'm glad.
That's it. That's the juice. Yeah, so we have an incredible team of people. As the Open Mind Space has grown, the amazing hands that get to play in and mold with it have grown as well. And we have some amazing people that hold similar values, are on similar healing journeys, are doing similar work within their own worlds and offerings. So they deeply resonate with that energy. The open mind space is its own entity. Like Murray and I have kind of let it grow its wings and fly. It's a teenager now. It's doing its own thing. So it's calling in the people that will support it. So yeah, the universe has delivered some incredible people that they can really dedicate their focus to ensuring the studio is running smoothly, is holding those values, holding that energy. We kind of oversee it, while at the moment we focus our energy on the retreat space and birthing that and helping that grow.
And it's that's a beautiful example of the evolution of self, but through sort of like a tangible external entity. Like you start in this one place and you develop this thing, and just as you said, when you go on this retreat with you and you learn how to bridge that gap and let go of control, it's something that you've had to do with the open mind space in order to step into this new space that you've got at the dome. And have you had any inklings of what might come next, or are you still very much in that sort of like startup phase?
We're feeling into it. We're always open, because the one thing we've learned is anything can happen, and it can happen instantaneously. So in terms of the intention we're planting, our heart and our beings right now are very much in the dome and supporting that because it's in its infancy. But yeah, we can feel into where there's potential other physical growth, but it's still in the ether. It kind of drops in little physical ways, but it's still in the ether. So who knows? It could be more domes, it could be more studios, it could be, I joked to Murray and I was like, we should go to Bali and open a retreat over there. And he's just like, no. He's like, I am not building anything else. I'm done. He's like almost
FYI for everyone listening, Renee's husband is actually he's a builder, isn't he? Like he physically built.
He's a concreter, actually. He's not technically a builder, but he's one of these geniuses where he just looks at something and knows how, or has one conversation. He has all these mates who are builders, and he has one conversation on how to build a deck, and then just goes and builds a very safe deck.
That's amazing. So to wrap up, what is one thing that someone listening who is kind of interested in opening themselves up to, I don't want to say opening themselves up to, I don't know, this other realm that sounds scary or something, but opening themselves up to a deeper experience with themselves. What's one thing that they could do right now to facilitate that?
Start a daily meditation practice. There are a plethora of apps, free YouTube meditations. Find someone that you resonate with and maybe explore them on YouTube or on Insight Timer or a bunch of other incredible apps, or follow their podcast. But a daily meditation practice, which is so much harder than it sounds, but dedicating that time will start to open up doors internally that you didn't know were there.
I hope this episode has inspired you to keep going on what can sometimes be a tough road to inner peace and true happiness. If you want to dive deeper into what we talked about today, go to thehealingcocoon.co for show notes and all things personal growth. And don't forget, if you're loving The Healing Cocoon, then put that love into action and subscribe, rate and review on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you download your podcasts. And until next time, my friends, let's rise and shine together.